everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ellie. You received a letter from me in the mail about a few weeks ago, but I am coming to you guys from the great state of Alaska. I'm working at a camp this summer. It's called Victory Bible Camp. This camp is located in Sutton, Alaska, which is about 2 hours from Anchorage. This camp has been here for just over 50 years. It was established before Alaska was considered a state. So Alaska became a state in 1959, and Ideen and Johnny Gillespie came to Alaska and they established a camp. Where I'm sitting right now is actually called Inspiration Point, which means this is the place where the two founders of this camp came and would pray, and where they envisioned this Victory Bible Camp that was established over 50 years ago. But this place has so much beauty, and behind me you can see everything that's going on at camp. We have this mountain valley that we are right in the middle of, so it's all the way around us, and it's just an amazing place that God has created, because we see all of its creations all the time. Like this morning, I walked out of my cabin and there was a moose and a mama with their little calf. It was crazy, but that's normal here. That's just something that we don't even think about anymore. But today I want to talk to you guys about Luke 22 through 24. I hope you guys would have read it, but this is an amazing passage that we get to read because it's about the creation and it's about the resurrection. You guys might be hearing my radio go off because I'm in the middle of camp. We just started our first week of camp, and it's crazy because we have 120 campers at Victory Bible Camp in Alaska this week as week 1. That is something that we didn't even think was going to be possible 2 weeks ago. The Lord has opened so many doors here, and it's insane. We're one of 2 camps that are open in Alaska, and we have tons of campers who are just flooding in, and that's crazy because of COVID. And even though we're talking about John 22 through 24, and it's a miracle. We're talking about the most amazing miracle in the Bible, which is Jesus' resurrection. Like, his death would mean nothing if he didn't rise again from the dead. Like, that is the thing that's crazy. And not only is it a miracle that happened back then, but it's something that's happening every single day. It's happening right now in these campers' lives because tonight is the gospel night. That means that they get to hear the gospel, and that is the opportunity for the counselors to be able to talk to them and to be able to ask them if they know who Jesus is, ask them if they are willing to accept Jesus as their Savior, or if they want him in their lives, or if they're going to commit their lives to Christ. Tonight is the night that there could be miracle after miracle happening, and it's the same miracle, it's the same God that we read about in John 22 through 24 this past week. So these chapters are talking about the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. So if you look in your Bibles in John 22, I'm just going to brush over the headers real fast and just kind of just look at how it already tells the story without even to read the words. We've all heard this story before. We know it. We could practically quote it. But there's so many little things that we may not have noticed before. Like, in 22, the plot to kill Jesus is my header that's in my Bible. I haven't ever really thought of it as a plot. Like, these Romans and these people who despise Jesus were just plotting, were devising a plan to kill him because they didn't believe what he believed, and they didn't believe that he was the Messiah. But it's crazy to think about that. It wasn't just something someone said, hey, let's do this. It was thought out, it was meticulous, it was detailed. Every single detail was thought about, and it wasn't just something that they're just gonna go off with on a whim. It was, they were gonna do this, and they were bound and determined. But also just in verse 3 of chapter 22, mine says that Satan entered Judas. That is a crazy phrase, because that's assuming that Judas was a good man, that he had Jesus. He knew who Jesus was, but Satan was the one who tempted him. It wasn't that he had a bad heart, or he was more inclined to sin. or anything like that. It's just that Satan was there. And God allowed it. God allowed Satan to enter into Judas' heart, to get him to be greedy and to make him want what these people were offering him. And after that, it goes to the Passover with the disciples. So there's a plot, and then they get into the real story, the real meat of what's going to happen. And then it goes to the institution of the Lord's Supper. So then we start talking about the Lord's Supper. What does this mean? Why is this important in our lives? And why is this important to the goodness of Jesus and like what he's done? Then it's, who is the greatest? Have you ever thought about that before? Have we ever thought about who actually is great? Who's the one who's created these mountains behind me and has made this awesome creation? But sometimes we doubt him. Like, he's the greatest. Why do we doubt him? It's just an interesting way to think about things when you look at this story. And then after that, we have Jesus foretells Peter's denial. So Jesus knew everything that was going to happen, just like he knows everything that's going to happen in our lives. So it was no surprise to him. But that's why he was so distraught throughout this entire process. So then it just keeps going. It goes to Jesus prays on the Mountain of Olives. Jesus gets betrayed. Peter denies Jesus. Jesus is mocked. Jesus before the council. Jesus before Herod. Pilate delivers Jesus to be crucified. The crucifixion. It just like recounts this story, just like bam, 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 bam. There's like no introduction here. It gets right into it. But it also gets right into the burial and the resurrection. The resurrection is the key point in this. And that's just like something that we forget to look over. But some verses that I really want to look at are at the end of chapter 24. It's the ascension. So we've been told that in order for someone to ascend, they have to initially descend. So that means Jesus had to come down before he could go back up. Ascension means is like a going back process. It's an undoing of a descension. So this ascension is that much more important because the word choices that were chosen makes us realize that Jesus is who he says he is, because he came down and now he gets to go back up. But the verse that I really, really love is 52 and 53, and it says, "And they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and were continually in the temple blessing God." These people didn't stop worshiping God. They didn't stop praising Jesus and telling his story just because he was gone. He ascended, yeah, but he left behind this amazing story. And that story is told every single day. That story is told tonight to these 120 campers from Victory Bible Camp and the 500 campers who are going to come through this camp within the next 3 weeks alone. And this story is the most amazing story because we have this huge book that's centered around it. But this story makes our lives complete. It fills that hole that we would never be able to fill. And the fact that Jesus ascended, that also means that we get to ascend too. That means that we get to follow him one day. We get to be with him in harmony, in heaven, in the world where there will be no more pain and no more tears, and this complete wholesome, this misfit that we feel in our lives, that we feel when we're here, even when we're surrounded by this type of awesomeness, can only come from a God that is able to create such amazing things and create such creatures that need so much detail in their lives. And this God is the God that we get to be with. We get to be with him forever. And that's something that not many religions talk about. It's based on what you do, not based on what you get. It's based on where you come from or the blood that you have, not based on the amazing grace that you've been given or the sacrifice that someone else made for you. That's what makes this story so cool. And that's what makes my job this summer super cool too, is because I get to share this story every single day. I get to share this story, and I love this story because Jesus died for that. Jesus died for these kids. Jesus died for us. And it's something that we take lightly sometimes. And that's sad because there are people who are on the front lines that are working so hard to get this story to be told to so many different people. Luckily, we have some people who are great servants, who love to serve, who have a heart for Jesus, and can make this gospel be known to everyone. And that's what our calling should be. That's what our theme is next year, is that we are trying to make this gospel known to everyone. But we are trying to unify people. We're not trying to separate them. We're not trying to say, you have to go through this group because you belong here. You're not a sheep or a goat. You don't have to be separated. We're trying to bring everyone together under one gospel, with one name, under one God. Like, we are going to be a unit. And it's an amazing opportunity that we get to have. So I just want to challenge you guys to really look at these chapters and to think, what would happen? What would life be like if this never happened? What would this summer camp be like if there was no resurrection, if there was no ascension? Jesus may never have descended if there was never going to be a promise of his return. Just something that you guys might want to think about. Plus, enjoy the great view of Alaska.